Welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic, the podcast where we drink and discuss nerdy fiction and where I may finally learn to pronounce things thanks to paying close attention to the dubs over the Japanese. Thank you. I'm Adam.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike.
For this cast, we're talking about Katsuro Otomo's Akira. Akira, not Akira, as I had been saying it with my Buffalo accent forever. It's our first anime film, and damn, what a doozy. It's gotten so many accolades, it's faster to list what it hasn't won, which is the Nobel Prize for Science and the SAG Award for Lifetime Achievement. Otherwise, it's won it.
It's won everything.
Yeah, everything else, yes. It
Pulitzer,
dominates
it's gotten it. Yep. So, first, though, before we dive into it, please remember to tip your nerds. In this case, we mean spread the word about us. Tell a friend, tell 3 friends about a little endeavor. We'd love it if you could leave us a review somewhere.
Is this where you bring up that we've been downloading some interesting places?
Yeah, please. So recently we've been a big hit, and by big hit I mean a couple downloads in Nigeria. I see you. Sean, you mentioned Iran, right?
Iran.
Yeah.
Thank you, Iran.
Yeah.
And Cameroon.
Cameroon was number 4 in the download countries for the last 30 days.
Yeah, I love when we see some really interesting places that you wouldn't expect. And that just brings me to the point that the sun never sets on the nerd empire.
No. There you go.
Thank you.
We've just insulted Cameroon and all the other places that were part of the British Empire.
Fuck! Oh!
Just lost those downloads. Sorry.
I'm not an imperialist. I promise.
No, but you know, we were sarcastically saying that earlier on the text threads.
I didn't even think of that.
It's okay.
So sorry.
No. Colonialism is hilarious.
Yeah, because we have been colonized as Americans, but that's not the same.
Am I mistaken? Did we not have a download or some downloads in Ukraine?
We have, yeah.
You know what? I didn't see those, but fantastic.
And
Slava
Russia,
Ukrainian
too, which is bizarre.
Yeah, those are new.
Yeah.
Usually our top countries are United States, specifically New York, California, Texas, and Colorado.
Yeah.
UK, Canada kind of tie it up. We got some friends over with Max Power and back in my day, podcast over there. So they're good listeners, good friends. Aussie land.
Australia, New Zealand. We get a lot from them too. Thank you for the down under mates.
Yep. A couple from UK, and then it's like a smattering of random things, but we've been noticing some new listens. So we're really appreciative of that.
Always appreciate anyone who gives us a shot.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hell yeah. Speaking of, we just got our first comment on YouTube, which I know I've been posting on YouTube, but we have literally been quoted as doing, quote, God's work. So whether or not you believe in a deity, we're doing work for somebody here, and I appreciate the shout out. Thank you so much.
It'd be nice if we got paid for that work. Thanks, God.
Yeah, seriously. It's not like the Vatican doesn't have a shit ton of
I've been
money.
accused of having a messianic complex before, so this is not helping. But thank you.
Yeah.
Are you the chosen one?
Good to see that.
No, he just keeps building shit. Oh,
so far,
Mason.
So far, nice.
Thanks.
So now I know that I have one disciple, and that's a start.
Yeah, that's how it always
starts.
starts.
My disciple, bitch.
I like to think of it as our disciple.
Whoa, are we a trinity?
We're collectivist here.
Are we one podcast made of 3 people?
Oh,
all you Catholics out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
We ascend into the ethereal plane.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we'd love it if you left us a review. Yeah, well, I don't know. Take that as you will. Those of you who are religious, I'm sorry. Those of you who aren't, hi.
Second cast is always so much
Second
fun,
cast is
isn't it?
always better. Yeah. So if you're just joining us right now and you haven't listened to the Cory Doctorow Walkaway podcast, go back and listen to that. We had some fun drinking our coffeeums. So we're vibing off of our Irish coffeeums.
We drink a half a fifth of writers'
Half
tears
a fifth of writers' tears.
That is not a fifth, sir.
Half a bottle of writers'
Sorry,
tears between the 3 of us.
That's a proper liter right there.
Damn.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You drink a quart of whiskey? Is that what you're saying?
Speaking of drinking, this is the podcast in the night where Sean surprises us with some sort of brewed beverage, a beer of some
I think
kind.
you guys are gonna like this.
What you
one.
got tonight?
I will go through my beerium here, and then Adam's got some more delicious Japanese snacks for us to imbibe.
While
I
Sean's
just bought
pulling,
a shit ton
while
of
Sean's
Japanese
whipping
snacks.
that out,
Oh,
I will say that this has become a recent Nerds tradition that I very much look forward
I
to.
really appreciate
the
it.
big
yeah.
reveal. And as Sean was coming into the studio earlier, he caught me trying to peek,
That's right.
and he scolded me. And he put an end to that real fast.
There was a ruler on the knuckles and everything.
Yeah, Mike didn't appreciate the slap, but what do the 5 fingers say to your face?
slap.
All right, guys, I really do enjoy picking out beers for us all, and I always try to think about like, what are we, and what are we watching or reading, and trying to like make the beer fit the cast. And I couldn't do it this time.
That's fair.
I really wanted to find like a Japanese ale
Like a Sapporo.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I couldn't get it.
That's fine.
And then I'm like, well, what about like a transhumanist futuristic thing from our last? No, I got it. But I did find something that fits us. What I found was 3 philosophers.
Yay.
Quadruple ale.
I do love Three Philosophers.
I saw it and I thought, well, that's just us.
That's
And
right.
the picture on here of like a couple of bohemian looking dudes philosophizing, I'm like, that's us.
That's right.
That's
They
us.
really should be paying us for our likeness.
And one thing
Yes.
our listeners ought to know about us after we've declared ourselves both messiahs and philosophers is that we're
humble.
quite modest. Yeah.
Right. And it's not an exaggeration for those accolades. So if I were just going to read the notes here, rich and complex. This tour de force is a blend of quadruple ale and authentic Belgian Creek.
Is it Kriek?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's multi-depth and gentle sweetness enhanced by lively carbonation and a touch of cherry. Sorry.
No. I was just about to go from the last cast. Vulva.
Let me gather myself. The perfect beer for leisurely sipping and quiet contemplation.
I'm nothing if not quietly contemplating.
I'm
Sorry.
So, there you go, boys.
Yes, thank you, sir.
We break you off a can of 3 philosophers quadruple ale.
Lodge.
Sean, I honestly want you to record the description on all of my beers. So even when you're not there, I can sip the beer and hear like, and quiet contemplation.
This is a 9.7% alcohol by
Nice.
volume.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
drink
Do we-
responsibly.
Do we need
Yeah.
glasses?
Do we? What are you trying to say here, boy?
No,
I'm
he's
asking.
asking.
Oh,
Do
no.
you want
Glasses.
glasses?
He said Dewey, like DUI. You know?
Oh, no.
Oh, I see.
No,
it
we're
was
gonna take
a
our
double
time.
entendre.
I
We're
know.
gonna take
I
our
know.
time.
We don't go anywhere for a long time after recording these things.
No.
Oh, it's an Amagon.
I'm okay. Yeah, Amagon. They do great things.
Is it time for the ASMR open?
Yeah. You ready?
Here we go.
1,
All right.
2, 3.
Oh no! Oh, fail.
That's
There
all
it
right.
is.
I finished early.
That is nice.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's good. Sometimes when you get those high ABVs, you can really taste the alcohol. There's like
Yes.
a tannic sort of bite afterwards. This is not that.
It's almost got like a wit beer kind of like tone to it, which is bizarre to me because it's a quadruple ale.
Yeah, a lot of the Belgians though rely heavily on like the lighter malt, and that comes across as wheat
Very
sometimes.
citrusy, yeah.
So,
Do we need a glass or?
I mean,
Yeah, we should probably grab some glasses. I don't know. Are we going to pause to eat our ice cream?
there's a lot of ASMR still coming, folks. So we can pause right now,
Yeah.
and we'll grab some glasses, and then we can figure out how we want to open up the Marine Boy
we have so
seaweed
much
flavored animal crackers and shit that I
Adam
bought.
really went all out here.
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
honestly, I went back to my college days when I had like the vending machine money and just like would buy one of everything. I really enjoyed it.
But again,
So,
did you get the panties out of the vending machine?
no, because I intentionally put them there for show.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be back, dear audience. We're going to grab some glasses and open up some packages so you're not like hearing too much crinkling here. All right, we are back. We've opened up our packages. We have some. I'm sorry. We've opened up all of the.
breeze.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're at on cast number 2 of the night. And holy crap, do we have some interesting things? So,
yes.
what do you want to start with the ice cream, guys? Is that we agreed to?
Well, I mean, we don't want it to melt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also, I think it's been sitting out long enough. So I bought the product, My Mochi, which is a mochi ball of ice cream wrapped in dough. And this happens to be the vegan one just because that's what Wegmans had at the time. So it's oat milk and salted caramel is what we're tasting.
There we go.
You get a 6-pack.
Not what I expected it to feel like.
No,
Right?
me either.
It's actually doughy, right?
It's like
I've had them before.
I don't know if I'd call that doughy.
Man, I should have grabbed some napkins while I was
That
I'm
that
sorry.
almost feels like I'm holding like a nard,
It's
but not in the sack.
it's generally moist
Oh my god, it's sticky! It's sticky.
because we've let it sit out. Maybe we let it sit out too long.
I don't know, man.
Let's you want to just put it in your mouth.
Yeah, let's eat these. I don't
I'm
want
kinda
to hold
scared.
it.
So I took a bite. I didn't eat the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Same here.
Oh,
The flavor is fantastic, but I can feel it like squishing in my fingers. And again, I keep going back to this is like a ball.
it's definitely weird because the ice cream is there, but it's after I chew the dough,
Yeah.
and the dough is not pleasant currently. Maybe it would be better if it was colder.
I do want to say that I'm amused how you guys took a dainty little bite and I shoved the whole fucking thing in my mouth and regretted that when my back teeth started to freeze horribly. But that is good, man. Honestly,
I would eat that.
Most of your existence, right? Like putting the whole thing in your mouth and then regretting it.
and then regretting it later. That's right. Yeah, but only for like a little bit, and then looking back on it, deciding it was actually pretty good. A little butterscotchy.
It is a little butterscotchy.
It is a little
Yeah.
butterscotchy.
And-
We're
and-
talking about these dough balls, right?
Yeah, yeah. I would. They had a strawberry flavor. I would try that one too. Seems fine. My sons have tried these. They do not like them. So I kind of knew what I was getting into and knew what I was throwing at you.
You know what?
Honestly, it's good. I like
Not
it.
bad. Not bad. It'd be interesting what would happen if you put it in a deep fryer. You know, like they do like deep fried ice cream?
Wouldn't that explode though?
No. There's like remember Chi-Chi's?
Yeah.
Restaurants do deep fried ice
Chi-Chi's.
cream. It was basically
Yeah,
the same
okay.
idea, and they would just real quick to get a crisp on the outside,
Yeah.
and like that idea. That it's almost like pre-deep fryer.
Sure.
That's what it kind of reminds me
It's
of. Or
enjoyable
like a
portable ice
testicle.
cream. Yeah, it's a little bit like a testicle to be honest. When you let it, we did probably let it thaw too much.
It's a delicious testicle.
So we have 2 varieties of seaweed snacks still to try, and Marine Boy. which,
Oh, what does that smell like, Adam?
I believe I said it smelled like used vagina.
That's not what you said.
That's not what I
you
said, but I'm gonna radio edit myself here. It did so. It's seaweed flavor, goldfish crackers. I was under the impression I was buying Japanese goldfish crackers, and I opened up the packaging, and it definitely smelled marine. is how I'm going to describe it currently.
Smelled marine. Love that description.
So
Oh, it says there's a bingo game inside the case.
there is if you
Oh, yeah, there it is.
as you eat the
Crab,
marine flavored
whale,
things.
Oh,
jellyfish.
Yeah.
Oh,
They have
yes.
is it conch or conch?
Well, yeah.
Oh man, they have clownfish in here. They go deep with their marine biology.
Yeah, it's not just goldfish. The rest of the world recognizes all the other fish. America is just goldfish.
All right. Well, we were going to try this right live on air.
Oh,
We're gonna
boy.
do it live.
So I'm going to take.
As we were
We'll do it
saying.
live.
It looks like I got the shark.
Hey, nice
God,
pack.
there's different shapes.
I'm absolutely okay if we each have
How do you
one.
think the game is played?
Did I get
man?
the moose?
How did you play the bingo?
Oh, it's a lobster.
Okay, I was gonna say a moose in the marine bag,
Looks like a
Sean.
fucking moose. All
It's,
right.
it's a sea moose.
I have the whale.
All right.
I
ready?
have a sea moose.
All right. Ready? Cheers.
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 I mean, not great, but
No.
not awful.
It's like fried.
Yeah. Honestly,
It's
it's
like-
not bad.
No,
It's almost like the crunchy ketchup on the top of the bottle.
yeah, I can see that.
That's a remarkably specific description and not inaccurate.
Yeah, yes to all things. I've had 3 though already, so like
Dude.
They're in my hand and I'm hungry.
It tastes
not
like
bad.
It tastes like SpaghettiOs to me. Honestly, I get a little
Oh,
SpaghettiOs.
yeah. I do get that.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a weird thing because it's supposed to be seaweed flavored.
I think Adam should take a handful of those, the shrimp chips, and the wasabi peas.
You know what this is like? This is going to be like when I make the mistake of having a cigar, and for like the next 2 days, I'm like, my breath tastes awful for 2 days.
But what a pleasant hour.
Yeah.
That's not the pleasant hour I'm going to have if I have shrimp chips and Marine Boy.
What a pleasant moment.
Yeah.
Marine Boy?
Marine Boy is the brand name here.
This is probably the most Japanese thing I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
Marine Boy!
Oh, that's really good.
This is so good.
Marine Boy.
And we never got a Japanese download ever again.
Oh, come on now.
No, actually, honestly, we're really enjoying these products. If you're just tuning in and you didn't listen to Walkaway, I just went to the local grocery store and found every Japanese snack they had as if I were high and buying food. So I walked away with like $30 worth of snacks here, and we're trying the second half of them. So the first half, we had shrimp chips. That's a no. They are what they sound like. Cocoa shrooms,
Chocolate butt plugs?
which are nicknamed chocolate butt plugs. They're not actually mushrooms. They're just chocolate-covered breadsticks.
But they tasted good.
Yeah.
I have to say, by the way, I'm looking at the bingo thing on the Marine Boy, and the squid
Marine Boy.
definitely has a dildo-esque appearance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there's some of that for the adults in the
That's
room.
inescapable.
That is absolutely, that's got a teaser on the top.
Woo! That is a French tickler.
So we've got 2 snacks left. In addition to a couple, actually we can each have another ice cream ball. We got 2 different kinds of seaweed snacks, and I'm gonna play Russian roulette because I took them out of their packages, so we don't know which one is which. One is wasabi, one is sea salt.
Those are food?
They're they're dried seaweed. That's all they are. Dried seaweed.
All right.
All right, well, we'll start with...
Cheater.
Sean, why don't you hand me the other one, and we'll compare notes here.
Here, I'll take one from this one.
It feels like a burned piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, it really...
So this is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I've made at-home sushi before, and it feels like the dried seaweed you get to make sushi.
So you just like, what, you like put it in your tongue like a communion wafer or something? Like, what do you do?
We're back to the messianic things here. Yeah, I would imagine so. I've never had one of these, so do what we will. I got wasabi.
Yeah.
Right away.
Clearly wasabi.
I got gross.
I got rocks.
Oh, this is not good.
Well, the good news is they're only 49 cents away.
Try wasabi, man.
Wasabi's not
good,
bad.
actually.
The texture's different.
I can't.
That's what it is.
It is different. It's like a weird texture, but like the flavor is good.
Yeah. It's like chewy.
Try this one.
I feel like if you wrapped
this tastes awful. Have this. It's like every middle school dude who gets the black scented marker.
This is not an option.
No, it's not. I'm gonna have one.
It's like the Jelly Bellies there. That it's like, oh, this one's vomit. Here, try this.
Yeah,
this one's less good.
Yeah,
this one tastes like those
fine.
Shrimp chips that we had before. The wasabi one's good.
You know, as an island nation, I understand why they like the marine food flavors so much.
I don't like this one.
No. I don't like the other one either.
Sea salt's a no.
I'm gonna have a chocolate butt plug and cleanse my palate.
Have a choco shroom. Not the brand name, but I'm renaming it that.
That was not good.
All right, so generally though, we went like
butt plug, Mike.
Yes on 5, no on 3. That's not bad,
dude. That one was so bad. Why is it called sea salt? There's no salt in that at all. It's just fucking tastes...
It's just dried seaweed.
Dude, it literally just tastes like seaweed.
Why is this a thing? All right, well, this is Americans Try Other People's Food. Our spin-off podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be a really good podcast, actually.
I mean...
Generally, I love Japanese food.
Yeah.
But some of this stuff, I'm like, whoa.
No, some of it's really good. I mean, literally, the seaweed thing, the wasabi flavored one, I thought was really good.
I
liked
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was, Sean's like, oh, this is gross. And I'm like, how bad could it be? And I was like, oh, it's really bad.
It was not good.
And we all have seaweed in our teeth now.
Yeah.
And in fairness to the foods, I don't know if the convention is to eat them plain like we did, or if it's to dip. Like, if you gave me some soy sauce, maybe I would house that, because I will drink liquid salt all day, which explains a lot of my health issues.
I'm thinking the marine boy would be really great if you sprinkle them into like a clam chowder or something.
Because then it's your texture.
Yeah.
But it's not the flavor so much. You get the flavor. Yeah, I could see that.
It might just enhance that flavor, actually.
Yeah. Because, I mean, generally, I tend to do that with goldfish anyway. So, you know. All right. So, here we are going on to the movie, which I have to keep reminding myself is Akira. Generally, it's the 1988 Japanese anime where the Japanese government drops an atomic bomb on Tokyo after ESP experiments on children go awry. Whoops. In 2019, 31 years after nuking their own city, Kaneda, a bike gang leader, tries to save his friend Tetsuo from a secret government project, basically the continuation of that kid experiment. Whoops, we created some psychic kids. Now we have to care for them for the rest of their lives. Seems like they're immortal. He battles anti-government activists, greedy politicians, irresponsible scientists, and a powerful military leader until Tetsuo's supernatural powers suddenly manifest. A final battle is fought in Tokyo's Olympiad, exposing the experiment's secrets.
Neo Tokyo.
Thank you. I left out Neo Tokyo there. Gents, there's so many places to go here, but do you generally think the movie deserves the accolades it's given?
I liked it. I thought that if it's one of those things where you can say about any classic movie, well, what if it came out now, you know, or listening to any classic record, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think if you go in and you try to picture like, all right, this is the late 80s and I can understand its reputation in that respect. Is it a movie that I'm going to walk away with or walk away from going like, oh my God, this is one of the great fucking movies and everything? No, absolutely not. But I enjoyed it. I liked it very much. It worked for me. And I'm sure that as we go through the cast, I have a lot to say.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
About the plot and the artistic direction that they took everything in. A lot was made when I was reading around online about the fact that it was cell animated. So, you know, everything was hand drawn, multiple layers. There was one layer each frame for foreground, one layer for midground, one layer for background.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. So like, kind of like Disney did with, what was it, Bambi or like Snow White or whatever. So
like
a lot.
Scoping?
Yeah. So a lot is made of like all the neon lights in there are very particularly made. They paid extra special attention to getting the colors exactly the same. You know how sometimes in like those mid 80s cartoons, the colors on a character would flicker? That never happens in Akira.
You're right.
It's all consistent at all times. I don't even know how they achieved that, let alone all the lighting effects, because there's a lot to be made of light in here. But before I go on and on and on, Sean, what were you thinking? Is this worth the awards? As I grab more wasabi peas.
I do, now that you mentioned the artistic direction of it, I appreciate that part of it. But I'm going to go no on this one. I feel like in my mind, I had this thing built up in my head, like that it was going to be this sort of like seminal experience because of the reputation that it carries, which is probably like that don't meet your heroes kind of thing. And I guess for me, the ultimate anime from that, I guess that similar era is Ghost in the Shell.
Which was my other choice. I almost picked Ghost in the Shell.
I fucking love that one. And Akira, am I saying that right? Akira. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I mean, it's got the same like legion of fans. It's from that same school of like art and everything. I'm thinking it's got to be just as good. And I didn't like it. So I'm gonna be the no guy today,
This
guys.
is a whole month of time where I've made Sean read or watch things he doesn't like, which I really appreciate about our friendship. Thank you.
Adam, I gotta be honest with you. This is one that I have been looking for an excuse to watch for a long time, and I just never got to it. And I'm really glad you picked it because I've wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad that I watched it. But I'm also sitting there going like, I don't need to go back to this.
Yeah. Some of the criticisms, not the criticisms, but the praise I read was that the ideas in it inspired other seminal works. So one of the quotes that kept coming up on Rotten Tomatoes and those other like critic sites was that no Akira, no Matrix. Like the Wachowski siblings were so inspired by this kind of film.
I can see that
they made their art from it.
Yeah.
And I get that totally. I could even say it like I joked about this being like Stranger Things Tokyo in the previous cast, because there's, kids with psychic powers who then have to battle each other, and there's a few heads exploding. In fact, there's a scene where Tetsuo blows up the Guardians' heads in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that scene, actually, which I don't know what that says about me, but
do you like badass shit?
I like badass shit. Yeah,
that's what it says about you.
Yeah, thank you. But I think maybe I just like the 1980s government conspiracy theory. It's not dystopian. Well, I guess it's dystopian, right? But like it gave me Stranger Things vibes, which I didn't realize until after I watched the whole thing. But it was on my to watch list that forever, and I picked it because I hadn't watched it. And I've seen Ghost in the Shell a couple times, both the live action, which was a mistake, and the anime.
Yeah, I don't want to do that one
because
I don't want to tarnish my like of the anime, my appreciation of it.
So I went into this expecting. I don't know, I guess expecting more, and maybe it's just because it's the modern audience looking back on this piece that's 30 years old. Almost 30 years old. No. Second cast of the night. Math is hard.
Over 30.
Yeah,
over
like
30 years old. So, maybe it's that, right? It was praised for being boundary pushing because of the gore.
Right.
Like people's intestines literally fall out of their stomach in the first 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's those creepy intestine animals. Tetsuo's arm becomes a blend of bionics and Akira sort of psionic energy that's real weird and twisted.
Body parts in a jar.
Right. Yeah, body parts. Yeah, Akira is literally just body parts in a jar at the end of the movie. And maybe I like gore more than I thought, but I enjoyed it.
You are the zombie guy in the cast.
I am the zombie guy. Yeah. I enjoyed it, but I struggled in this day and age to see why it was so groundbreaking, which is kind of a bummer for me, but maybe it's just I'm not well versed enough in my history.
Well, before I come to that point, I want to touch on an earlier point you made about its influence, because early in the movie when all these characters were like, yo, Tetsuo, I was like, Tetsuo. Like, there's an album by one of my favorite artists, Lupe Fiasco, called Tetsuo and Youth.
Really?
And I never connected that to anything. So
I don't know Lupe
Fiasco
that well.
Oh, Lupe Fiasco's.
I know he's good,
fucking fantastic. So I went on immediately. I went on and checked, the Wikipedia page for the album, and it's that's the artist is a huge fan of the movie, and the album, like, there's not it. It almost makes it seem like it would be a concept album, but it's not. He's just a fan of the movie, and he just named it Tetsuo and Youth.
It is a cool name.
It's a really cool name. So, anyways, to get to your second point, I think it's like trying to explain to someone today, like, why Elvis Presley or why, Dark Side of the Moon or why, Nirvana's Nevermind. Like, why are those so groundbreaking?
Sure.
That's a great point.
When you really have to understand the context in which those things were born, I mean, I'm a huge Nirvana fan, and I've had this conversation with people many times, they're like, I mean, whatever, it's fine. But it's like, but you have to understand, like, at the time, like, all that goofy ass 80s hair metal, no offense, Sean, I know you're a big 80s rock fan, but to me, like,
Sean looks offended.
Why am I being colored this way?
Because you have a Diamond Dave tattoo. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But I mean, that was what was current at the time.
Sure.
Like, that's what was fashionable at the time. And then into that world walks, like, ripped jeans, flannel shirt wearing Kurt Cobain just shrieking about his angst.
Yeah.
And if you understand properly that context, then it's like, oh, then you appreciate it more. So, like I said, a few minutes ago when I watched this movie, I'm like, I mean, to me, this movie, obviously, like, the legend precedes everything,
Yeah.
And so I went in and I'm like, look, I'm not a huge, I mean, would this technically qualify as manga? This isn't really my.
Well, it comes from an anime.
Yeah.
An anime. I don't know if the anime was made in the manga style, which is specifically back to front, right to left when you read it.
But that's the way, like, most Asian languages work.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is not really my. When it comes to fiction, it's not really my area of expertise. So I told myself going in, I'm like, I'm not going to allow the legend of this thing to affect my perception as I'm watching. I'm just going to watch this as if this is just a movie, and I'm going to see how I feel about it. And like I said, from that perspective, I enjoyed it.
I tried to go into the same way, and I walked away going like, "The fuck?" And it's weird because I watched it with my 13-year-old daughter, and I know it's rated R and everything, but we I checked out the thing, and I was like, "Okay."
It's just because of the extreme graphic nature of the violence.
Right.
She can handle it. We watched Stranger Things together and all that, and she was really getting excited about anime, and I'm like, "Well, I'm watching this movie," and she's like, "Well, can I watch it with you?" I'm like, "Let me check the parental guide." I looked into it. I'm like, "Okay. This is what it's got." And she's like, "I'm okay with that." And I said, "Are you sure?" So we watched it.
Yeah. Heads are going to explode.
Yeah. And that's fine. I think for the time, it was probably a little bit more controversial than it would be now. It'd probably get a 13 rating at this point, I think.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But understandable in that, ratings shift over time when, Tip O'Neill or whoever it was came up with the movie rating system.
They get like a TV 14 or whatever the hell they've got, like that middle of the range thing, kind of thing. But anyway, she and I both kind of at the end of this thing, we're just like, and she didn't say this, but I was like, the fuck? Yeah. We were both sitting, and again, she's got that new generation of the next generation of looking at this thing, and I'm sitting here from the person who grew up during this time going I don't know. We both shrugged at the end of it. We're like, why is this so huge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so some of it, when I read online, is the artistry. I mentioned the sail animation.
It is beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah, it truly, shot for shot can stand up there with some really strong cinematography from today's directors.
Totally agree.
And the artistry of knowing that, every time there was some sort of neon light flickering, they had to make that light flicker 24 times per second, which is, just a labor of love in that way.
Yeah.
I think some of that, though, that we're feeling comes from the plot, which I kind of struggled with. And I didn't know if it was the dub.
Yeah, did you watch
I watched the
English dub?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Me too.
So we all watched the same version.
I thought about it. Should I have watched the Japanese with the subtitles?
It's funny.
I can see
better that way.
So my take on that was I started watching the Japanese one, but my concern was if I'm reading these subtitles, am I missing some of the animation?
That was
which
my
is
thought.
a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Which is, if you guys remember, I actually texted you and I was like, "Which one did you guys watch?" And when you said
we agreed on the Dutch version,
I was like, "All right,
the Dutch dub."
But and I mean, look, that shit was corny as fuck, man. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a translation or what, but it was not.
You got to get past that, because there's. I decided early on. I'm like, I'm just gonna get past that. I mean, there was just there's one part I literally was laughing out loud where it's like, who's that general or military?
Oh, like the
fucking
American
dude?
guy,
the guy that seems like he's a bad guy at first, and he turns out to be kind of a good guy by the end.
Yeah.
But he's
the guy
not
working with the scientist.
when they call him before the board, and they're like, "We're firing you" or whatever, and he's like, he goes,
"You can't fire
me." He goes, "Excuse me," and he turns around and walks away. And then they're all like, "What is he doing?" And one person goes, "His behavior is inexcusable." I'm just fucking you got to be kidding me, right? But
that's got to be
you got to decide.
But
you just have to decide as a viewer. I'm done. I'm going to accept this.
There is a certain level of translation in an Asian language into English where some things just don't translate.
Yeah.
I've been watching some Korean shows on Netflix and things with my family, and it's the same thing. It's like they do these dubs, and it's like, that's just so awkward.
Yeah.
And you get the same impression. I remember watching Ghost in the Shell the first time. I watched it in Japanese with the subtitles. And after a while, I stopped watching the subtitles, like what you said, and I just watched what was happening. And I still felt like I was in the story.
Yeah.
Without really knowing what they were saying, I still got a sense of it.
That's interesting.
Which maybe I should have done with the Akira, because I feel like, again, the awkwardness was a part of it. And I know my daughter felt it too. That idea that it was just weird from that respect. And if you look at the imagery and everything is amazing.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Right. But then the dialogue and some of the character motivations and some of that kind of development of the story and everything, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Those weird ass fucking kids. Like the
psyop kids.
Why is the one in the street? Why is he getting run over? What the hell is going on?
He was running away from the government facility.
I know, but then he's there still, and it's
know.
like there's this weird incongruities that come up, and I'm like, again, I think if I could understand Japanese, I would probably have a way better understanding of like the motivations of things and why it's happening this way. But because it's been run through that translation ringer, something got lost. Yeah. For me, it was like, why do they all look like fucking Frankenstein, number one, but Tetsuo doesn't? Because he's in that same school. I didn't get.
Tetsuo was special in that his psionic powers were like kind of already there or something like that. Like, you know, the chosen one sort of thing. And they gave him the shot or whatever they tested him on. But he also wasn't around as long as the kids. The kids are 31 years old plus their original age. They were part of the original experiment that caused the Tokyo government to bomb themselves.
Right.
And then they locked the kids away. But this gets to my point that the plot, dubs aside, convoluted.
Yes.
It is difficult to understand, like, why is Akira just body parts? And why does that matter? Why is that those body parts in a jar?
The ethereal plane and all this.
That was, I mean, for me, like, that was the first third or more of the movie was fascinating because of the world building. They did, like, I mean, it was fascinating. It starts out as this sort of, like, noir thing. You see a dude, like, walking down a dark road and, like, there's the neon light and he goes into the bar. And then it goes into so much about, like, there's the new city and the old city, and, like, you're trying to figure out...
And the protests with the coal.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out who these these, like, warring motorcycle
capsule
gangs
gang.
The capsules, yeah.
And then, like,
then
there's, like, the military dude, and there's, like, the weird old people who are babies. Like, there's, there's so much...
Ed Eisner as a baby.
There's the guy's being attacked by a giant stuffed animal.
The fever dreams. The fever dreams.
There's so much world building in the first part of the movie. And I love world building. I was fucking there for that, especially if it's like dark, like urban setting, like nighttime surrealism, like that shit. I fucking love. I love that shit. So I loved that. I was watching it and I was like, this is fucking good.
Yeah.
Then it lost me for a little bit because at a certain point, like when Tetsuo gets his powers, like then it just turns into like monster movie, like classic.
Yeah, it's classic anime, good versus bad. Tetsuo versus Kaneda.
Right, and it's literally 30 minutes of Tetsuo just destroying shit and them like trying to stop him. And
they keep powering up.
It's like
which is anime itself.
And so my thought process at that point was like, well, what was the point of all the world building if this is where we were going? Was just a monster movie. But I felt like it redeemed itself then again at the end, which is why I came back around to liking it. Because, there was the whole thing about, like, they did that nice flashback to, like you were saying before, like, this was pre the nuclear explosion. Yeah. And they actually, Akira was, like, there with them in the flashback. And so it went into the backstory. And then, like, that whole sort of end of Space Odyssey thing happened where they're like sucked into the light and like it's like this weird trippy
it just
shit.
Disappears into
so
light.
It goes back into like the more like thinky aspects of it. And so I came back around to liking it. There was that middle section that it kind of lost me for a bit. I'm like, he's just destroying everything.
Yeah, same here. Like I wanted more to be made of the Akira cult and like for them to do something more than just like pray and like use red paint and big calligraphy pens.
It was like a throwaway thing.
Yeah, it really felt like a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
And I really wanted more of the Kaneda Tetsuo relationship because a lot of the reviews were like, well, Tetsuo is trying to get out of the shadow of Kaneda in the gang.
It was
but that's not developed.
It felt underdeveloped.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The most I felt from that was in the beginning where Tetsuo was like, oh, your bike is super cool. And he steals his bike and is like, I can't ride it. Oh no, I need to keep the RPMs above 3,500. Now I get it.
It felt like they were
cultural too. I really
do.
That idea of like the superior versus the inferior. I think that might be something that's lost on us.
It also seemed like they were trying to do a lot of it retroactively. Like I mean, there was a flashback to like when he showed up at the school and some kids were picking on him, and like Kaneda fights them, and he's like, "Here's your pen." They used to pick on me too.
I'm new too.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That came out of nowhere for me.
Exactly. It seemed like they were trying like later on in the movie to establish something that maybe should have been there earlier in the movie.
Yeah, like, it would have been great if the movie opens with a scene of them in the orphanage or whatever, where they're like, because they're both from the same like abandoned kind of background.
Yeah.
Build a little characterization and then cut to them on the bikes. Like that might have been kind of a better.
Yeah.
way
Why
to
are
get
they
that
together?
thought. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I really did feel like, okay, there's this tension between Tetsuo and Kaneda, and they're like adversaries, especially when.
But they're friends.
Yeah, but especially when Tetsuo steals the bike, I'm like, what a dick.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be in the kick him out of the gang? Just boot him. I don't understand why he's still there.
Oh, like when Kaneda is trying to kill Tetsuo at the end.
Well, yeah.
But then it's like, then they try to save each other. It came off as unearned to me. And like the female characters were totally interchangeable.
That did not age well.
One gets completely absorbed by the Tetsuo like Mobius thing, whatever.
The one that he like takes on the motorcycle on Kaneda's bike, and then like she gets sexually assaulted by the clowns.
Yeah, well, at the end, my kid and I were sitting there going like, "What the hell was the difference between them? Like there was nothing going on there. Like we don't know which one died and which one. It just came off.
Welcome
as
to the
like,
1980s. If you were a female character,
yeah, and she's just like laughing about it at the end, and I'm like, and I'll be full disclosure, I did nod off a couple times.
Yeah.
And it was because I just didn't invest in it. Mm-hmm. And I just got to the point where I went up on a long day at work or whatever, and I was just like, and then she starts laughing. I'm like, what? And I had to ask my kid to explain it to me, like, what's going on? And of course, the kid's trying to explain this stuff to me, and it's like, she's like, you didn't miss anything.
You missed,
yeah.
My favorite part of the movie, though, was just the weirdness of it, man. Like,
that is interesting.
I fucking love weird shit. I really do. And like, there was like, if you can present me with like some really cool, interesting, weird image, I'm there for that. And there was a lot of that shit here, man. There were early on when they showed that like old man / young kid running through the streets and they're chasing him. I was like, what the fuck is that thing?
The one that causes Tetsuo
why does he
to fall
look
off
like
the
that?
bike.
I fucking loved that. And then like later on, there was like that girl giving prophecies from her bed in a bubble with like stuffed animals.
Yeah, the 31-year-old, 9-year-old.
And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like I love that weird shit.
For me, like, imagery wise, that's neat. But then I'm like, why the fuck is that guy out there? Why the fuck is Tetsuo so connected to that? But it's almost like coincidental that they were like in the same place at the same time.
Because he was experimented upon also.
But that's the thing. Like, why were they somehow in the same place at the same time?
Well, that's the thing. So like, you have to buy the premise that 26, which by the way is why I get Stranger Things vibes, because the kids are numbered. They have tattoos,
that's a good point,
numbers tattooed on them. So 26 is the one that causes the accident. He holds up his hand and you see 26 on his hand.
Yeah.
To stop Tetsuo on the motorcycle, and he like sketches out in order to save the kid. And then the government's coming for 26 and they pick up Tetsuo too.
Yeah.
And that's how Tetsuo gets thrown into the experiment.
So he starts like progressing from
and then he starts progressing
I
from
didn't
there.
even notice that. And
it took 2 watches for me to get that.
And I was about to say, like, this also struck me as a movie that I need to watch again. Like,
that's
having
what a lot
watched
of
it
people say.
once for like just to get the plot.
Yeah.
I really strongly felt like I need to go back because I feel like there's things that now that I understand what happened.
Yeah.
And who these people are and the backstory and everything that I would pick up on a lot more.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys said that. It's like, that's what made me sit there going at the end going like, I gotta go back and watch Ghost in the Shell again. Because I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is like, I texted around to you guys, like maybe it was just Sean specifically, like, I watched it 1.5 times because we got a brand new puppy, and I'm like watching the puppy, watching the show, watching the puppy, watching the movie, and I'm like, did I miss something? No, I didn't miss anything. It's just fucking like skipping shit. But I really got like, do you know the movie Scanner Darkly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got
based on a Philip K. Dick novel.
Exactly. Yeah. When the psionic like fever dreams happen that the kid, the like 31-year-old kids make happen to Tetsuo while he's in the hospital, I got like real Scanner Darkly vibes, which I appreciated because that took me back to college when I watched Scanner Darkly and all those other things together at the same time. And like, maybe it was a little bit of like, nostalgia
Yeah.
that I enjoyed
It's
there.
Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is
All I
in
can
that.
think of now is scanners and the guy's head explodes.
Which, I mean, Tetsuo did blow up 3 guys' heads
true.
in that hallway, which
What a great
takes me back
fucking
to
scene.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
You know, in the
Oh,
most recent series, or the most recent season, both characters blow up people's heads in the hallway.
I want to just put in a total side note plug here while we're talking about these kind of movies. Afro Samurai. Have you guys seen Afro Samurai?
I've seen ads for it.
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson, man.
Yes.
Oh my God. Holy fuck, is that fun?
I'm tired of
That
these
is
motherfucking
fun.
samurais on this motherfucking plane.
That could be a future cast right there.
Honestly, you
Dude.
want to do a live watch?
Dude, I don't understand.
Just a live. I mean, you're right, because we had talked about
There's
lessening our
literally
load
only
here.
like 5 episodes of it, so we could do that.
That maybe we could also do a Futurama live watch.
I could do a Futurama.
Wow.
Pick a good, like one of the best episodes.
Man,
Yeah.
you are preaching to the right audience here.
You know, the funny thing is, like,
It
as
is
I'm-
on the socials.
yeah, it is on the socials, man. So, you know, we're coming to the closing because we're already in 51 minutes here, which is 20 minutes over.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, it didn't feel
Right?
like that.
No, that's been tonight, man. We've just been
I
real.
wonder if it's all the whiskey
Real
and all the
verbose.
beer.
It
or-
might be.
I think it's all the Japanese snacks.
And all the
we've been
coffee, the caffeine,
describing.
too.
The coffee I'm just hitting.
Yeah.
We honestly, our schedule's open for the next thing. So
Yeah.
if you're out there listening to us and you've got some suggestions, you know, we're throwing on ideas of live casts, of live watch, like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Let's just watch something silly together.
Yeah.
We're throwing around ideas of just, you know, we're all going to maybe bring something real fancy to drink and just talk about what we're reading recently. If you got ideas on the socials, hit us up. But
Yeah.
it's time for recommendations, y'all. To steal Sean's recommendation from last cast, I'm a soft yes.
Okay.
I'm a soft yes.
Well, I'm a definite yes. I'm gonna say that it's one of those things that you're either gonna like or you're not.
It's just like a know your history vote. Like, you should watch it to know and appreciate what we currently do with like techno thrillers.
Yeah, probably. I know that, you know, my wife asked what we were watching for this cast, and I was like, my response was, you would fucking hate it. You know,
Fair. Totally fair.
it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely depends on your taste.
Yeah.
But I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. I want to watch it again because I want to absorb more of some of that backstory and make some connections that I didn't make the first time. I thought it was great.
Cool. Sean?
Yeah, I'm a one and done.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna go
It's
with.
been a lost month for Sean.
Honestly, I'm
good,
glad that I
good.
had both experiences because I wouldn't be able to comment intelligently on them otherwise. And I have to say that I appreciate the history of Akira and what it brought to the modern world of anime and everything else that goes along with it. But I'm like if you weren't there in the moment and it's not your thing for like the history of it, you can
Sure.
skip it. You can totally skip it.
The 60s didn't hit as hard for us as it did for our parents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, it's not necessary for you to get into anime and see some other interesting things that are out there. If you're really not into that sort of like stuff they're bringing up in this film, then don't even worry about it. It's not essential in my opinion. I just feel like if you really want to know what the godfather of anime is, then go
You're
see
going to Ghost in the Shell.
Well, yeah, go watch Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we need to do a cast on that because
Sure.
to me that is so
The
much
anime, not the live
more-
version.
Oh
Fuck the live
god,
version.
yes. But Akira, I mean, yeah, it's got its place in history, but it's history, in my opinion.
Sure.
Well, I
sure.
heard a key word there, and it was not sci-fi, but we should do a Godfather cast.
Oh.
It's a whole
I
different-
can't
Oh
refuse the
my
man
God,
when he
man.
comes to my daughters.
Godfather 3, right?
We made a best chance, Michael. I am a fucking Godfather disciple. I'm
I'm gonna let Mike carry that
worship
cast.
I think we should
film,
force him to
right?
watch Godfather 3, and we'll do a cast on that.
You know what? I like that movie. That's fine, man. It is.
Can I admit that I've never sat down in one sitting
Yeah.
and finished a Godfather? Any of them?
Ooh.
Oh,
None of 'em.
okay. Well, that
Oh.
settles it. I think
Yeah,
that
I
settles
don't know. I
it.
mean, I have to. Just,
live watch Godfather 3. Here we go.
you'll fall in love with Talia Shire, that's for sure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
All right.
Connie Corleone.
If Rocky didn't put you there.
Ugh. So
Read the papers. There's your husband.
all right, dear nerds, you've heard us. We're a mixed bag,
As
and
always.
I'm gonna sit down and just ride this last beer out because this has been great, but also rough. If you've got some suggestions for us, there we go. If you got some suggestions for us, hit us up on the socials, mainly Twitter and YouTube, but I'll look at Instagram occasionally too. But like Facebook's the devil, so we're kind of I'm not feeling like it's very productive. That's all.
How are we doing on Tinder?
You know what? Tinder's not bad, but
Do we match with any other podcasts?
Dude, the OnlyFans.
Actually, OnlyFans is blown up and Grindr is blown up, but Tinder not so much.
It's all those butthole, right?
Yeah, butthole references. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we get for reviewing Cats.
Just videos of Sean looking seductively at the camera and eating shrimp chips.
I was gonna say like teasing those chocolate buttholes or butt plugs.
Here's stay nerdy, y'all. I'm gonna leave you with this one last ASMR shrimp chip.
Canada!
Doctorow!